Yes and is a fundamental rule of improv, and that doesn't just include making people fall out of their seats laughing. It might mean when someone presents you an idea, you're able to take it and move it in a direction that helps you both win.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
How can the principles of improv be a game changer for communication in the business world? With us today is Parker Dean. He is the CEO of Off the Cuff Consulting. We're going to talk more about the principles of improv, stand-up comedy, and how these communication practices can help us in life and in business. Parker, great to have you here. Thanks for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Chris. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course, absolutely. We always like to ask our guests, tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. What were you doing before, and how did that kind of lead you into what you're doing today?
It's a great question. It's a weird job that I have because I'm one of the only people, I don't understand why I'm doing it. There are a couple, I call them improv consultants, meaning communication professionals who teach the principles of improv in a more pragmatic business sense. But there's not that many of us out there. And so it's an interesting job I have. How I got started was I have a large background in theater. So I've been on stage more or less since I was 8 years old. So it's going on 20 years in some form or another, whether that's musicals, whether that's live theater, short film. I do a lot of stand-up these days, and I also have a theater degree. So a lot of that went into the curriculum of what I teach my students. How my business got started, I started in 2020. So I started at the tail end of that year. I think my first paying client was September of 2020. So I've been going for a little over 4 years now. It got started because I just kind of noticed that particularly when I would be in a more corporate environment, whether I was with my corporate friends or I remember particularly when I was at university, we had the orientation sessions and stuff like that. And that's definitely like a more conference room type feel. There's just, I don't know, I worked at a startup as well, very briefly, but I just noticed that there was a lot of warm up icebreaker exercises that companies like to do. And I just kind of started to see the parallels between, well, this is interesting. It's kind of like the exercises we run before we go on stage for a show. This is kind of like the warm-up exercises that's interesting. Okay, we did this exercise in my improv class that I took when I was in college. I just saw those parallels, particularly when I started studying at the Groundling School, which is a prominent improv comedy school here in Los Angeles. I was working at the time, like I said, at a startup, and that was Lost Spirits Distillery. It was a whiskey rum distillery. I worked there as a tour guide. I also did customer service and shipping and stuff. It was a really great job. And I noticed that startup energy that they had was very much the same as what I saw in my improv class. It was fun to come to work. And so I thought, this is interesting. I just started seeing some parallels there between where I worked in a business sense and then also what I was doing in my free time, my passion, which is comedy. And so I just started to see the parallels there. And I wonder if it would be beneficial for a lot of these exercises and games that I ran for years and years doing theater in a business sense. And so I did it as most, I guess, businesses or startup business. I ran a couple free sessions first for some people. They had really great results. And then I did that for a month or two. And then I got my first paying client and things started picking up word of mouth from there.
That's fantastic. I hear that from a lot of entrepreneurs. Somehow they find their unique ability, something they're passionate about, and finding an opportunity where businesses need something like this. They have the traditional icebreakers, which unfortunately feel a little bit forced and stiff. And I feel like bringing a little bit of fun and creativity to it was much needed in the corporate world. And I think just everyday life for people. So thank you for doing that. And now it's a great example of starting your business, doing a little free trial offer, getting great results, using those as case studies for future clients. And now you've created this business, and to see your content out here is incredible. I've gone through your TikTok. It's funny. It's humorous. It's great. You have a great following here. What does it take to kind of build up your own personal brand like that? Because it takes a lot of effort. Is there a lot of writing involved? Do you just have these great ideas every day, or do you keep them stored away in a book somewhere and you kind of pull them out at will?
It's been interesting being a comedian and being an entrepreneur. It's very weird. There's not a lot of people. The only one that I've heard recently, I've been listening to the book 12 Months to a Million, I think it's called. And the author in there talks about the founder of Dollar Shave Club started as a comedian, I think at the Upright Citizens Brigade. So it's like, that's the only person I know that's gone that route. And I don't even know him. I just have heard of that in a book. But It's weird having a comedy brand and having a business brand. We're actually building the business brand up right now. We just started our business YouTube channel, calling it Mouthpiece Mastery. My personal brand of all of these comedy videos that I've been making over the last year and some change, it's been a journey building that up. I've hit 1 million views on one video on Instagram. I've gotten a lot of other views since then, but that's the only one so far that I've hit 1 million on, was one video on Instagram. But I've done well, like on my TikTok account is the biggest following I have. Right now, I think it sits at around 17.2 or 17.3 thousand followers as of the recording of this video. And live streaming has been the big game changer to get my TikTok following up. As far as how do you come up with ideas to do stuff? Yeah, I hate saying this out loud because it's probably going to come back to bite you in the ass, but I have not had writer's block yet in terms of ideas for videos. You always can come up with something. I have a great friend of mine. His name is D'Angelo Himes. He's doing really well on a lot of platforms. He hit 16 million views on an Instagram video just the other day. And it almost is like the videos that come down to the wire, you don't have an idea. It almost forces you to be creative. And those seem to be the ones for him, particularly, that are blowing up in terms of views and a following and stuff. So for me, consistency has been the absolute key of posting every day and live stream. I live stream an hour a day, 6 days a week. So the more I do that consistently, the more my following seems to be going up, particularly on TikTok. It's the platform I'm having the most success with. We're going to see, once I start posting pure teaching content on my new YouTube channel, what happens. I have a feeling consistency will be the key, but I also think that you got to put out these days really quality content that people actually want to watch. You can't just half-ass it, so to speak. You got to actually put in good editing, good production quality, and good ideas.
Yes, absolutely. And that's interesting to hear kind of what worked well for you because it's similar to other people and what people recommend. It's the consistency, but to hear the live streaming aspect really brought the right people, the right audience into your group and what you're doing to gain more followers and views, which is really excellent. But using improv within the business aspect doesn't seem like it would mix well. I feel like sometimes when we're too funny, we can't be taken seriously, but also the humor kind of makes life worth living, that we need an aspect of it. How do we find that blend between the improv comedy side with business? Because people really love the Wendy's social media team and how sassy they can be. How do we find that right mix for our own business?
Yeah, Wendy's Twitter account, or X account rather, is killing it. They're hilarious to watch, and people enjoy that, and that definitely gets a lot of views. And I should clarify as well, when it comes to live streaming, I don't write any of that in terms of beforehand. I might have a couple general ideas going in. For example, when I live stream, I usually live stream in character. I've been doing adult Caillou, which has been a lot of fun. And I'll code a soundboard, meaning when the audience interacts with, they share the live stream on TikTok, they follow, they send a donation, it will play different sounds. And so I will pre-plan, I'll use this sound effect or something, but all my reactions out of that, all I find and use is completely organic. And I find that especially in an age where, as a comedian, you work for months on a particular joke, and that joke might only be 30 seconds or even a minute long. So you post that online, boom, it's out there. So that's a bunch of work that goes into a small sliver that maybe people see or maybe they don't. Now, maybe the joke is so good it blows up, phenomenal, good for those people. But I just find it fascinating that it almost seems like these days people love the off the cuff type of comedy. The other thing that made the biggest difference is I got matched up with good creators through the TikTok agency that I'm with. And so through networking and running some live stream comedy sketches with them, that's what really made the difference in my following. So I'm not going to like put the world on my back. Like I did it all by myself. No, I worked with really great people who taught me amazing things as well. But to your point, to answer your question about how do you balance that line of really being a clown versus being a serious business person, it's interesting because it seems like companies these days really do love comedy. Some of the best ads that I'm seeing, particularly for companies who don't go a traditional retail way of having their products just on the shelf at Target or something, they're really using comedy for their ads. There's a lot of comedy sketch ads that are coming up. And so it seems like the viewer really likes the idea of being entertained and getting some relatability to a particular product, I guess. Like, oh, I need to buy detergent anyway. Might as well do it from this company because it's fun. It made me feel good. Maybe that seems to be what's working. When it comes to what I teach people, I work with salespeople. I'll work with engineers. I work with people who run businesses. And I work with very wealthy people. And I find that it's not so much the humor in teaching them how to be funny that they come to work with me on. It's more so about how to utilize the fundamentals of improv as a way to upgrade their life and their communication skill set and their relationships. So you can take improv and you can run with it in an acting scene or a comedy scene, as you would at Second City or you would at the Groundling School or Upright Citizens Brigade, where you'll go in class and they'll put you up in front of the room and they'll say, okay, so you two, we need a suggestion. Where are they at? They're at a coffee shop. Okay, let's go. So we're just going to give you guys a coffee shop. You run with it, develop the relationship, name the characters and stuff. You'll see that in improv class. And if you were a business person who were taking one of these more theatrical improv classes, you'd learn how to be funny. You'd learn how to develop characters, be a good actor, all of those things that those schools teach very well. And then it's up to you to figure out, how can I practically apply this to my office? How can I practically apply this to dating? How can I practically apply this to being a better storyteller? What I like to do at Off the Cuff Consulting is make that very pragmatic, meaning you don't need to take an acting class and then learn how to utilize that for your business. The idea is, look, yes and is not it doesn't need to be all comedy. A lot of people can use, particularly of the analytical variety, can use yes and to solve problems better. Yes and is a fundamental rule of improv, and that doesn't just include making people fall out of their seats laughing. It might mean when someone presents you an idea, you're able to take it and move it in a direction that helps you both win, which is, I think, a situation that many people in an office, whether it's at a startup or a big company, can take and use. It's more about the fundamental aspects of improv and how someone can apply that to their daily life and their business, whether it is something like making a business decision that will increase sales, or perhaps Aikido and objection for the salespeople that I work with, or whether it's something as simple as a conversation, how to keep a conversation going or build rapport, because that's what people need to do to get promoted and stuff at work, as well as you go on a successful date.
Yes, absolutely. So true. And a lot of great points here. And something that you mentioned about the result of your success here was a lot to do with the networking and the relationships that you built, because now you created this friendship and partnership with someone where you could build off of each other's connections. And once you start getting more eyeballs and visibility, if people like what you're putting out, they're going to follow, they're going to subscribe, they're going to want more of what you're putting out there. So I think it's really important within business to have networking opportunities to put yourself out there. And I think just having improv can let you be, like you said, off the cuff with your business name, just allows them to be more adaptable to situations and just give them this confidence that they can go into any situation, have a great conversation and walk away feeling a lot better about the end result there. So I think improv is going to be something that more people are going to be interested in implementing and getting better at to improve their communication skills.
I hope so. It seems to be the trending case so far.
Yes, absolutely. Are there any good resources available online, either from you or other people that you may recommend for people who kind of want to dip their toes into using some of the new improv communication skills for themselves? What can they work with to kind of get that leg up in business?
It's a great book. I want to say it's either people who work at Second City. I don't think it's the founders, but it's called Yes and. You can get it as an audiobook on Audible. It's a really great book that just talks about improv as an art and the founding of the Second City. And there are some practical business applications that they do talk about in that book. So if you want just a primer, I think that's a really great place to start. If someone's looking to just dip their toe into the world of improvisation, there's a great comedy special called Middleditch and Schwartz. It's a great, really funny. Have you seen that?
I love that. I love that one. Yes. And I'm upset they only have 3 episodes.
I know. That's incredible that they pulled that off, by the way. That's unbelievable. I mean, so for anybody who's listening, what they do, it's two men, two actors, Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz. They have a couple chairs on the stage, but other than that, the stage is bare. And so they take a couple suggestions from the audience and then they craft an entire hour-long story 3 different times in these 3 different episodes. It's incredible to watch, really. So that's fun from an entertainment perspective, but also from just kind of a wow perspective of, wow, you can do that? That's really cool to watch. As far as resources from me, people are more than welcome to check out the video newsletter that I post every week. How does this work, Chris? I sent you guys over the resources, my website and stuff like that, right?
Yes, we'll have the links available down in the show notes and the description. So anything you mentioned here, we'll have the links available in the show notes for everyone.
Yeah, right now I'm working with my team. We're going to be releasing, I believe, not an audiobook, an ebook about with some exercises and stuff that people can run, some solo exercises maybe as well. Just the fundamental tenets of what I teach. So those that should be a free resource that you should be able to find on my website, as well as the video newsletter where I talk about current topics. We're going to be ramping up content over the next couple months. So people might be getting more than one video every week. But yeah, if you want to hear me talk about current events, speaking styles, anything in the realm of communication, I feel like that's a really great resource to start at.
I love that. That's perfect. And for those who aren't familiar, Ben Schwartz played the famous character John Ralphio Saperstein on Parks and Recreation. So one of his more notable characters. Always loved that and that series as well. But the improv from these questions and stories that they're building from the audience is absolutely incredible. Laughing the entire way. It seems like they have some inside jokes going on in between there. They interact with the audience too. Just an all around good time. Definitely recommend it. And you mentioned doing some sort of small improv exercise. If I would be willing to do it, I'm open
Yeah.
to it. Are you open to trying that out?
Yeah, he's flipped the
Excellent.
tables on me, folks. I asked him
Oh,
before this podcast. I said, "Hey, you up to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll do it." So now he's asking me if I'm up for it. If you are, I mean, I can lay off the rules if that's all right.
all right. Perfect. Just take it easy on me.
No, we'll do one of the most fundamental exercises that I teach. This can be done as a solo exercise, but we'll be doing it as a partnered exercise here. What I teach is very much more games and exercises based than a lot of the more traditional or theatrical improv schools. So we're just going to be doing an exercise called word association. This just kind of gets your mind moving. You just move from idea to idea. So here's how it works. I'm going to pull up on my end a stopwatch. We'll go for 2 minutes.
Excellent.
And how it will work is I'm basically going to say a word, and then Chris is going to say a word that's related to what I say, and we're just going to go back and forth for a grand total of 2 minutes. So just as an example, we're not going yet, but just as an example. So if I were to say sky, you might say,
Blue,
and I might say color, and you might say,
orange,
and I might say fruit, and you might say,
basket,
exactly. That's it. That's all. That's the whole exercise is exactly this. The only rule is no repeats. So if one of us says shark, the other person can't say shark in a minute from now, right? So just no repeats past that. That's it.
I love it. That sounds fun. Exciting.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start us off, and I'll run, like I said, the timer for 2 minutes. I'll pick us the first word. You good?
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good. Watch,
Time,
tick,
talk,
grandfather clock,
old,
antique.
thrift store. Does that have to be one word?
It's all good. Yeah.
All right.
One idea. Cheap,
Inexpensive.
money,
Benjamin Franklin.
founding father,
Powdered wig.
white,
Black.
nighttime,
Sleepy.
pillow,
Rested.
NyQuil,
Big pharma.
medicine,
Vaccines.
blood,
Transfusion.
hospital,
Doctor.
school,
Books.
read,
Inspire.
mind,
Brain.
grow,
Shrink.
small,
Miniature.
tiny,
House.
off grid,
Cabin.
travel,
Airplane.
vacation,
Beach.
sand,
Sandals. Coffee.
caffeine.
Jolt.
Good. We're at 2 minutes. That's it.
Separate. That was great. You even threw me for a loop on a few of them. And I love that because it's whatever comes to your brain. Now our brain has to react to it.
Yep. Keeps you on your toes a little bit. It's funny what comes up. I've been sick over the last couple of days, so I've been taking NyQuil. So NyQuil comes up because I tend to get a little bit of a better sleep when I take NyQuil. But it doesn't matter. The point is, it's whatever comes to your mind first. And so even if it's opposite, you just do your best. And you could run this. Anybody who's listening is more than welcome to set a 2-minute timer and run this as a solo exercise where you associate off the words you say. So give me a random word, Chris.
Baseball bat.
Baseball bat, wood, tree, forest, national park, Yosemite, volcano, ash, Pompeii, Rome, history. You can just go, you can associate yourself, but you do that for 2 minutes. And the idea is, regardless of if you're doing it with a partner or by yourself, no interruptions, no speed bumps. And you'll know it when it happens. You'll kind of be like, I don't know what to say next. And then you figure it out.
And can that just practicing that daily or weekly help with sharpening our brains a bit more to make those new neurons and connections work once again, or strengthen them a bit more?
Yeah, it really helps with wit. It really helps with wit. The idea of pattern recognition and speed. So thing A looks like thing B. How quickly can I connect those two things together? it really does a good job, that particular exercise, with firing your brain up and just getting you ready to talk. Anybody who's in sales who does cold calling or door knocking knows that the first three don't count, right? The first three, it's a warm up. You got to get your mind moving. What if the first three could count? If you do exercises like this, they definitely.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for those interested in learning more, should check out more with the resources. And I think just that improv helps with crowd work as well with what you do, making that connection. I like how you apply it to business because, again, it is just us humans connecting and communicating with each other. And I just think it's a clever vehicle to communicate a message to people, help them understand it, and let it resonate with them a bit more. When it's put into a happy package of comedy, I feel like
Mhm.
people are more receptive to that. And who doesn't like to laugh? Maybe the Grinch, maybe the Scrooge, but those are few and far between. So I love the work you do, what you're putting out there. What are you most excited for going into 2025? We're almost wrapping up 2024 here.
I'm most excited from a business standpoint of we've launched a new group coaching course. So it's very unique and it's the only communication course where you get live practice no matter where you are in the world. So basically, what we do is there's a video component to it. We have a very comprehensive video course. It's like 8.5 hours of all of my fundamental content. But the thing that sets it apart, we're calling it Mouthpiece Mastery. The thing that sets it apart is every week I have two different time slots. So there's two different times that are available. But every week, anybody who's in the course can join up, and then I will put people in breakout rooms over Zoom, and you can run those exercises together. So it's a place where you can quite literally, like a gym, sharpen your social skills with like a gym regiment of exercises. So that's really exciting. I ran that as a boot camp course in the past where it's been, I've had a cohort, I've had 20 people or 10 people in 2 different days where we will show up once every week and run it. But now I'm doing it for the long term. So anybody who wants to show up and run it is more than welcome to do that. That's really exciting that we're getting into doing that. And plus, I'm just excited to have some big shows coming up as well. My audience has grown tremendously with live streaming and stuff. So I have a big show. My first show, I'm doing my first hometown comedy show. So in Indianapolis, where I'm from originally, I live in LA now, but I'm doing my first show at Helium Comedy Club, which is arguably the biggest comedy club in Indianapolis. That'll be a lot of fun.
Wow, that's so exciting. Congratulations. You have a lot on your plate. You're putting out a lot of good work. I think this is just the snowball effect. It's going to keep building and growing as you keep putting yourself out there. So keep up the great work. Any last words of wisdom for our audience here? You've already shared so much great information, but anything that we haven't covered yet that you want to mention to our audience here?
Yeah, I would say look into seeing how improv helps you. I just continue what I said earlier of look, regardless of what you do for a living, and my analytical students, I always try to speak more to them because analytical people love to pre-plan things. They like to look for algorithms and systems that make their lives easier. And when it comes to people, people are fundamentally chaotic. People are fundamentally going to be filled with anomalies, right? And as a result of that, I would recommend anybody who finds that their communication is faltering, maybe there's some added element that they need to add in that they just can't quite see. Maybe they are wondering why someone got a promotion at work over them, even though they're clearly much more qualified. Maybe they are struggling in their dating life. Maybe they want to be better storytellers. They just want to feel more comfortable inside their skin and become a master of social dynamics. Whatever you're looking for, if you sense that something's lacking, I have a feeling that improv will help you very much. And I think that improv does a really, really good job of putting people in charge of handling social dynamics. I really believe that because if you are always on your toes and you're ready to respond no matter what comes at you, you're always going to feel comfortable regardless of the environment that you walk into because no one can really throw you through a loop. And the best part is you don't have to waste all of that mental energy on pre-planning everything that you say.
Yes, that is some great advice. And especially for us analytical people, we do love finding the patterns, recognizing those. So to not pre-plan and go into something. But these are great exercises I think can help everybody from business owners, marketers to people in careers, and even people who just want a little bit more from life. Like you said, if they're kind of lacking in those communication skills or suffering from all those things, this can definitely help turn their brain around a little bit and prepare them to be better communicators, especially post COVID. I think a lot of things changed since then. I think we could all brush up on some of our communication practices and have some fun doing it. Like improv is a great way. I laughed along the way. I couldn't keep a straight face. I didn't know if it was supposed to be funny, but this is what it's about. It's just natural human connection. And I love that.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on today, Chris. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.